Today's story is not just history. It is not just a case file, and it is not just numbers on a report. It is a real stretch of highway in British Columbia, Canada, Highway 16, that has become known as the Highway of Tears. And behind that name are real people, real families, and real lives that were changed forever. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through what this highway is, why it became known by this name, who was affected, and why, even today, this story still matters deeply in Canada. Highway 16 runs through northern British Columbia, between Prince George and Prince Rupert. It is long, remote, and in many parts extremely isolated. Small communities are spaced far apart, and public transportation is limited. For many people living in these areas, especially Indigenous communities, this highway was often used for travel, work, school, and basic access to services. But over time, something deeply concerning began to emerge. In 2006, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, launched a major initiative to review cases connected to Highway 16 and surrounding areas. Later, national inquiries and reports, including the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, examined patterns of violence across Canada. These reports highlighted systemic gaps in policing, social and economic vulnerabilities, and the urgent need for prevention and support systems. However, many families still feel that justice has not fully been achieved. Many of the women and girls connected to these cases were from Indigenous communities, and this is a very important part of the story. Families have repeatedly spoken about lack of urgency in early investigations, delays in search efforts, and inconsistent attention from authorities. Over time, this led to national conversations about systemic inequality, missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in Canada, MMIWG, and the need for better protection and response systems. This is not just a local issue, it became a national human rights concern. Part 6. Why this story still matters today. Even today, Highway 16 remains symbolic, not just of tragedy, but of unresolved questions. Families continue to advocate for improved safety infrastructure, better transportation options, stronger community protection, and accountability. This is not a closed chapter. For many, it is still ongoing. The Highway of Tears is not just about one road. It is about how geography, inequality, and systemic issues can intersect in devastating ways. And most importantly, it is about remembering that behind every case, there is a person, someone's daughter, sister, friend, or mother. If you take anything from this episode, let it be this. These stories should never be forgotten, and they should never be repeated. To understand this story, you also have to understand the geography. This is not a busy urban highway. It is long stretches of isolated road, limited cell service in many areas, very few gas stations or towns, extreme weather conditions in winter. For someone traveling alone, especially without a car, the risks are significantly higher. And for years, transportation gaps meant people often had no safe alternative. The Highway of Tears is not just about one road. It is about how geography, inequality, and systemic issues can intersect in devastating ways. And most importantly, it is about remembering that behind every case, there is a person, someone's daughter, sister, friend, or mother. If you take anything from this episode, let it be this. These stories should never be forgotten, and they should never be repeated.